What is going on, guys? Paul Ryan back at it again. I hope everybody's having a good start to the weekend. One thing I forgot to mention last night in my video was the practice scuffle between Jake Ferguson and Donovan Wilson. And I got to say, man, nothing. I don't love anything more than seeing guys battle it out, duke it out in practice. Just shows that practice is getting intense. Guys are working hard. Guys are on edge, and not only that, but we started to see the physical, tough mindset being adopted by these Cowboys. Now, I know people can say what they will about that playoff loss, right? But when you look at the moves that the Cowboys have made since that embarrassing wild card loss to San Francisco back in 2021, you saw them adding guys like a Tyler Smith, adding guys like Mazi Smith, adding guys like an Andrew Hudgens, who we saw him kind of doing something edgy, if you will, by pushing down a Rams coach. Now, you never want to see a player touching a coach or touching someone indefensible, right? But just adding guys who have an edge. And even Mike Zimmer, I think he's kind of like that as well, and he wants players like that as well. I like seeing guys, the Cowboys adding guys to this team. And we also saw it last year in that game against the Seattle Seahawks with Dak Prescott and Jake Ferguson, where Dak got in somebody's face after converting a big first down, and then Jake Ferguson, after catching the game-winning touchdown, showing off and getting into Jamal Adams' face. You know, we need that kind of stuff for teams to take that next step. We need that mindset, not just in the regular season, but obviously in the playoffs as well. And I love seeing it. Donovan Wilson, you know, I know CD Piglett's real excited to see what he can do in Mike Zimmer's defense, but I think he's a tone setter. We've seen him be a tone setter for this defense. And when I think about it, I think that Jake Ferguson is kind of I don't know if I want to call him the tone setter, but he's the guy that can get players hyped. And he can back it up with his play. I mean, we saw what he was able to do last season, and a lot of people are predicting that he'll be a top 5 tight end this season. I think top 5, honestly, might be his floor. But then you see guys like Donovan Wilson, who already have been kind of edgy, but now he's got some other players on his side that can match his intensity. But again, he's a tone setter on defense. It's really starting to come together, I really feel like, this season. I'm not going to say we're competing for a Super Bowl by any means or anything like that, but when you look at the moves that the Cowboys have made, the players that they've added, the direction that they're heading, I think we are on a path to where we will surprise people. And I think the addition of Mike Zimmer is being overlooked. I feel like I've said that a few times. And I think the additions on the defensive line are going to be the difference makers. And as I've said before, the defense is probably going to be the heart of this team this season. And I know CeeDee Lamb still doesn't have a contract. And I said it, I believe it was last week, that, man, I think CeeDee Lamb could miss some regular season games. That becomes more real by the day. And now other people are starting to think it, starting to say it. And if he does miss time, if he were to miss regular season games, he's looking at missing $1 million. That's his game check. I believe Brian Broaddus was saying that it's an 18th of his salary, and CeeDee Lamb is going to be making $18 million this season, if I heard that correctly. So he's willing to miss $1 million potentially. So I think the Cowboys are thinking that he might not do that, and that's why they're, I guess, not in a rush to get this deal done, because they're wanting to see if CeeDee Lamb is willing to take him to miss $1 million check. If I were him, I don't know. I can't speak for CD, right? But if it were me, I don't know if I'd be willing to do that. At the same time, man, I think CD has earned a new contract, and the fact that he doesn't have one is ridiculous. But we've talked about that too many times. On another note, tomorrow night is the final preseason game. A lot of players are playing for their spot on the roster. I know Trey Lance, his roster spot is safe, right? But he could be potentially competing for direct backup to Dak Prescott, not QB3, but QB2. I know Brian Broaddus was saying that there's a chance, depending on how this year goes. I don't know if it doesn't necessarily weigh on how tomorrow night goes, right? But there's a chance he thinks that Trey Lance could be the starting quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys in 2025. That's something that I've said on this channel for those who've been listening all offseason. Do we want that? I don't know. I think Dak Prescott's obviously a better quarterback, but we'll see. Deuce Vaughn, I mean, I hope he can show out tomorrow night. I just think he would add so much to this backfield. I've talked about him a lot. Don't need to go too in depth in that. I can't really think of any other players off the top of my head who I think, or at least for me, I think are fighting for roster spots. But one guy, Israel Mukwamo, my first original pet cat for those who are OG listeners to the show, he is fighting for a roster spot. And with his versatility, man, I'm hoping that he can figure out a way to earn it. I know a big thing for him as he practices well, but it doesn't always translate to games. So hopefully he can show enough tomorrow to earn a spot, maybe not even as a cornerback, but just a special teams guy. We'll see what happens. But let me know in the comments who you would like to see show out tomorrow and who you think is on the roster bubble and hopefully can earn their chance to make the 53. Again, I hope everybody's having a good Friday night. I'm Paul Ryan. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.